All right. Okay. What's up, everybody? What's going on? So I am solo dolo today. Hey, what's up? Just in case anybody is here, how's it going? I'm live on TikTok and I'm live on everywhere else, Facebook, YouTube, not Instagram yet though, not IG. What's up? What's up, so everyone who's in here? My name is Clayton Anderson. What's going on? I do two things. I cover the Houston Texans for Tour Times of the Fansided Network, and I also have launched the We Want Houston podcast. So there you go. So just doing a quick live stream today. Not long, probably 30, 45 minutes, just to do a quick sports wrap up for the day. I know that training camp has started, so I'll have some information on that. I will also be getting into just different topics as you've seen on the graphic, which here you go. For those who are new to my station or what I do, and what's up, everybody on TikTok? So, of course, if you're in here, I'm live on TikTok, live on Instagram, live on YouTube. So there you go. All right, so got a bunch of graphics because that's what I do. But here you go. So we're going to get into a number of different topics. So here you go. Oh, right. Okay. So for those who are new here, of course you can see on TikTok, but for those who are new, so I'm covering the Joe Mixon news, right? So the fact that Joe Mixon essentially has been declared as being retired, not really, but according to KPRC2 Texans insider Aaron Wilson, Joe Mixon basically is as good as retired. I will play his clip from his YouTube live stream to show you in his own words what he said, along with other news. I'm also going to be talking about my thoughts on where the Astros stand right now. What are they back at 4 games under 500 after they just swept the Marlins in this up and down season that we have right now? Again, what's up to those on TikTok? Harley, what's going on? So yeah, I'll be talking about Jeremy Pena, Jordan Alvarez, their excellence, and why at least half of those two, one of those two rather, should be on the trading block. If not now, then of course in the offseason, according to Chandler Rome. Lynn, what's up? Then lastly, Nick Scorden for the Panthers, outside linebacker. Excuse me. His major injury and how that affects, not necessarily affects directly the Texans, but again, brings into perspective windows in the NFL and pro sports and why it's so important to take advantage when you have an opportunity. So there you go. All right. So starting off here, so Aaron Wilson came up with well, not came up with, but Aaron Wilson, he did a live stream Q&A yesterday evening, I believe. I missed it. The reason why I even knew about this morning is because I was informed via X. Somebody mentioned it, not directly, but I happened to catch wind of it. So I went back and looked into it, and sure enough, Aaron Wilson had this to say about former Houston Texans running back Joe Mixon amidst this mysterious foot injury that has cost Joe Mixon essentially what looks like his career now. So I'm going to play it now, and I'll play you here.
Roger wants to know, has Joe Mixon retired? No, he has not filed his retirement papers. He has told former teammates from the Bengals that his career is over. I had a source close to Joe tell me recently there's some hope, but I think it's probably over. The good news is that Joe is healthier. He had a surgery. I believe that surgery helped this offseason as far as just normal, normal life kind of stuff. So yeah, wish Joe the best. A really unfortunate situation. No, and I always have to tell people this. He did not shoot himself in the foot. That was a ridiculous urban legend. It's not true at all. Injured his foot. I believe one rumor I've heard a lot of times, I've heard it many times, that he may have dropped a weight on his foot and then he got treatment on his own and it did not get better.
All right. So there you go. I hope you heard it. What's up, Jack, Armando, Godino? What's going on? So for those who heard it, saw it, that was Aaron Wilson of KPRC2, El Ray 420. What's going on? So let's break down what he said. So Aaron Wilson pretty much said that through the grapevine, through those who were closest to Joe Mixon, Joe essentially has admitted to former Bengals teammates that he believes his career is over. Now, this is the first time I can say with certainty that I have heard, and maybe I'm wrong. If you heard something different, let me know, but this is the first time I've heard with any kind of certainty from anybody plugged in like a Wilson that verbatim said that Mixon essentially feels like it's over. He's verbalized that to people. And yeah, so so now here we are. The last time we kind of heard any type of information was G Will. The last time we heard any kind of real information from Joe Mixon either to the contrary or just as an update. He was, and I forget who he was kind of going back and forth with, but somebody mentioned, was that Rappaport? It might have been Ian. That's right. I think it was Ian Rappaport. That's right. Ian Rappaport reported that I think Joe Mixon was either going to miss the season or he had some update on Joe. This was like midseason, and Joe responded on X. I don't have the X post right now, but Joe responded on X by saying like, "Oh, I guess you know more about my body than I do," and then all these things. So at the time, right, like anybody who was trying to cling to this notion that Joe would come back, you could see that as like one more defiant kind of go around for Joe to kind of say like, hey, my story's not finished. It's not over. What's up, everybody? TikTok. My story's not over. It's not finished. Essentially, like I know more than you do, and you can even read into that. Like, is Joe saying he'd be back soon? Have no idea. Fast forward some months later, and now you have Aaron Wilson on his live Q&A basically saying that, yeah, nah, any idea that Joe Mixon would come back for anybody this offseason, after this offseason, nah. He's told people that he's probably done, and that's pretty much it. And I like also how Wilson made it a point to go ahead and just put to bed the what's up, Dark? I'm not gonna say the rest. What's up, Chocolate? Put to bed the rumor that Joe Mixon shot himself in the off season in 20, in the 2025 off season. I don't know where that rumor came from. I don't know what happened with that, but that's just what people took and ran with. What's up, love? Uh, People took and ran that idea that Joe Mixon shot himself. I have not seen anything, heard anything that legitimized that. And Wilson basically said, like, yeah, let's just stop that. Michaela, what's going on? So yeah, and then Wilson at the end said like it could have been like a weight that fell on his foot that just kind of got worse. Now the key point is that Joe Mixon allegedly, now this I did kind of hear repeatedly that Mixon might have gotten a procedure done away from the team and just things got worse and it just yeah, that was it. So yeah, but all all things considered, I made a write up on it about it rather on the Torah Times website this morning. So around 8 a.m. or so around 8 a.m. About this topic. But anyway, it's a sad development for Joe Mixon because and the Texans too, but for Joe because he was traded here in the 2024 offseason from the Bengals for a seventh rounder, and he came in and he got his second Pro Bowl of his career after a 1,000-yard season, after a 12 total touchdown season that saw him basically become the backbone of this offense. Like he brought, in my write up, I said he brought intensity, vision, finishing ability, toughness, attitude, backbone that offense really kind of didn't have before. Like the offense couldn't move the ball before Joe got here, but Mixon just brought this believability and toughness to the offense that like every down of every drive, that you believe that you could either pick up that first down like you did or win that game. What's going on? Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the likes. Or again, just you just believed that good things would happen because Joe Mixon would just ooze that kind of confidence. What's up, Newark? Appreciate you. And without Joe Mixon, I mean, let's just talk numbers for a second. So let me try to pull this up real quick. Um, where is it? Or I'll just have it here. Okay, let me go to my X account really quickly and pull this up. This is live. We're Gucci here. All right, so I had this up earlier. Right. So here we go. So let me look, I'm going to screenshot this really quickly and I'm going to share it with you. So I made this post earlier, about 3 hours ago. Funny enough, I was out with my kids doing this, so kind of multitasking. Do it. Appreciate the like still. Again, what's up, everybody? Okay, I'm just here kind of doing a live news wrap up on the Texans, Astros, and just general news around the NFL and the sports world that are relevant to the Texans or Houston. So here you go. For those who are here through YouTube, what's up? So let me show you this. Okay. It is 3:30, so I don't expect people to be here. I gotta do these after 5. That's better. All right, here we go. So I made this post about Joe Mixon earlier and the loss that Joe Mixon, like what the Texans offense lost with not having Joe Mixon here. And if those are on TikTok, you kind of can't see it right now, but I'm going to read it to you. If you were to just translate Joe Mixon's stats from 2024 to 2025, the Texans would have had a rusher with rankings of this. What's up, Brenda? He would have been 18th in yards behind Chase Brown of the Bengals. He would have been tied for 8th in touchdowns with 11 from last year, which would have tied him with Javonte Williams. He would have been 9th in yards per game at 72.6 behind Kyren Williams of the Rams. Tied for 14th in first downs with 52, tied with Chase Brown and Jalen Warren of the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Jawar Jordan's Week 15 game against the Cardinals notwithstanding, Houston didn't have a single rusher to rank any higher than 32nd in any of the listed categories. The Texans finished as a bottom 5 to 10 rushing unit as a result of Joe Mixon's absence, right? So that's kind of the thing about missing a Joe Mixon, right? Like, yes, you were missing a running back, and that sucks. But if you just look at how the season ended, right? Let's kind of go there to that point. The season ended via a 28-16 loss at the hands of the New England Patriots, where, as we know and has been discussed ad nauseum, what's up, Mister? Of course, Newark, what's up? As we know, the Texans fell partly due to the fact that your offense could not get going. We know that CJ Stroud threw 4 picks. We already know that, right? That is the laziest thing to just go to now. It's true, but I mean, there's more to happen. That's more that happened to CJ Stroud and the Texans just 4 picks. You had the 4 interceptions. You had the loss of Nico Collins due to a concussion against the Steelers the game before. You had the loss of Dalton Schultz, excuse me, early on into the game to where that rendered your tight end advantage, null and void. I want to say you had injuries to Titus Howard, your offensive line, Woody Marks, who've been banged up all season, nicked in and out of the blue tent. And it just was bad. It was a sloshy game, wet, nasty, 4 turnovers, multiple bodies down, and you went into the season also without Tank Dell. Right. So all things considered, right, while the national media and even local Texans fans would have you believe that CJ Stroud alone cost you that game, again, I'm here to tell you, and I speak for others when I say this, if you truly know football, you would understand that CJ Stroud's 4 interceptions were more emblematic of a larger issue rather than being the sole issue, right? And you go back to Joe Mixon, the power of a Joe Mixon, besides just the stats, he relieves so much pressure off of the passing game just by being in the backfield to take a handoff or two. Like we also got to keep in mind, like Joe Mixon. Here, let's go back to Joe Mixon stats from last year. So not just the stats that I read off to you, right, the counting stats, but let's just talk about the volume, right, the volume of attention that Joe Mixon would have taken up, right, just by taking the handoffs. So each season of his career, let's go through it, right. And by the way, Joe Mixon is basically 30 years old, right? Okay. Fun fact: I'm not a fan of going to ESPN.com and that intrusive playlist that plays to the right when you look up stats. It just starts without your permission or your consent. But anyway, Joe Mixon. So in his, I guess what is now his final season in the NFL, he took 245 carries. Right, those are 245 potential. Let's just say, let's convert those to passing attempts potentially. Right, like do you know how many passing attempts that would have saved CJ Stroud? Do you know how many interceptions that would have saved if Joe Mixon was there taking 245 to 257, just 200 plus handoffs, in that season? Do we understand that Joe Mixon's presence would have alleviated so much for the Texans? And there's a very likely chance that Joe Mixon would have helped them get to the conference championship game. And again, that's not me saying that it's CJ Stroud's fault that we did. And that's not me saying that the offense is bad without Joe Mixon. But when you look at the holes in the Texans' offense in the passing game, when you look at the fact that the Texans, like, they had one game all season. Flash Go, what's up? The Texans had one game all season where they had a 100-yard rusher. That was Jawar Jordan in week 16 against the Raiders, right? Had 100 yards. No touchdowns, but he had 100 yards, and that was it. Not Nick Chubb. Of course, Joe Mixon was out. Not anybody else. Jawar Jordan once. Outside of that, Nick Chubb didn't do it. Woody Marks didn't do it. Woody Marks only had a 100-yard game against the Steelers, which is clutch. Like, I'm happy that he did. But in the regular season, like, we finished with a bottom 5 rushing attack. Like, it was that anemic. It was that bad. And as we all know, some of the greatest best friends to a quarterback is an elite defense, which Texans have, a tight end, which the Texans you could say had with Dalton Schultz. He had a career year, but an effective rushing attack. And can you imagine at 12-5 if you had added 1,016 yards and 12 total touchdowns to that offense? What could have happened? Right? Like that's what I mean. I mean when I say it sucks for Joe on a personal level because he's missing out on income. Of course, his body is affected. Now, he did get surgery, so I'm hopefully he's feeling better and he's getting healthier. But you know, Joe Mixon suffers personally, financially. His career is basically over, so he's pretty much done essentially. And then if you look at the Texans, like this cascading effect of things, right? Like Joe Mixon being gone, has led you to having the season that you had, which did not have the offense, which indirectly cost you a trip to the Super Bowl, right? Where now you are depending on David Montgomery, who he's not a scrub, but you traded for David Montgomery from the Lions, right? So you got him. Woody Marks slotted behind him, or kind of halfway splitting reps, according to James Slater of NFL Network, right? What's up, Alex, Danny, Ronnie, Papa Son? What's up? So you got that going on now, and now we're still question marks over RB3, right? So again, these are the cascading effects of missing a Joe Mixon, right? So to kind of close on that topic, I hate it for Joe on an individual level. I hope and I pray for his increased health. That he lands on his feet. What up, DQ? RK008. I hope that Joe Mixon lands on his feet and just gets healthier. Right? Even without the NFL and football, like I just want him to be healthy. That's the whole thing. And for the Texans, you just hope that in 2026, right, you can get a healthy season from your RB1 or split backfield, and that you don't have to go through another season where you're having to kind of skirt around this information, right, because you don't know what happened to your star player or players, right? So there's that. Again, one more time for those who are just kind of joining, I'm going to put the title card back up here. So this is the live stream at the 15-minute mark, talking about Joe Mixon's career. Houston Astros are going to come up, NFL training camp updates, right? Excuse me. So I guess what I'll do, I'll flip the order because I was going to go Texans, Astros, and NFL at large, but I'm going to do this since I'm already talking about the NFL or NFL related things. I'm going to just talk about that. Go Bills. Hey, hey man, so what's up, Bill Sports? Hey, funny enough. So again, I tell people this. I posted about it. There's a bet going that you can hold me accountable to, Bills underscore sports. So follow me real quick so I can just keep a hold of you and I'll follow back. So my bet is that, if his Lord's will, so let me backtrack. I made a bet with Brandon Ray of the Buffalo Down of the Fansided Network, right alongside with me, right? And we agreed that whatever team won, Texans or Bills week one, okay, the losing analyst of that team has to go through a table, right? So like that would mean that the Texans win, he got to go through a table, right? If the Bills win, I got to go through a table. Now, on top of that, there is a fundraiser that we'll work on. Myself and Ryan McGinnis. Appreciate you, Bill Sports. I'm gonna follow you back, man, real quick. So Ryan McGinnis, calling the coach, fantasy football analyst. He had an episode of the We Won Houston pod, a few days, a week or so ago, where we talked about that, right, for his nonprofit. So Christian Coaching Athletics, we're doing Christian Coaching Athletics. We're doing like a fundraiser to where we're trying to connect it to the table bet to where, for example, depending on how much donation we get for children's athletics and resources and equipment, that'll dictate really how far we take the table thing, right? Like, and as I said on the video, and I'll post it again. Let's say for example, $100 worth of donation, you might get a swanton bomb. 200 shooting star press, 300 you might get a leg drop or 450, something like that, right? I was a former competitive gymnast, so when I say this, like I'm very serious. Like, so, and it's kind of not good that I'm thinking this way, but again, you might as well have fun with it. And why not try to bless those in the community if you can while doing something like this, right? So, and Bill Sports said this. He said, "I do think we're going to lose that game. Why? Why y'all going to lose? Why y'all gonna lose, man? Look, and I'll be fair. I know we're kind of going off subject a bit, but it's fine. We're going live. It's fine. Um, I honestly, as a Texans fan, as much as I want to say that the Texans are just going to just roll over the Bills because the narrative, right? The Texans have dominated Buffalo over the last, let's say, what, shoot, like 5 or 6 games, right? I think the Bills have dropped the last 4 or 5 in a row here, unless I'm mistaken. Um, but that's what makes me nervous because it feels like that. Okay, so Bill Sports has helped me out here. Appreciate you, sir. Allen is 0-3 in NRG, and our last 2 games versus Houston have been career low games for him. Right. So Allen has been dogged. Like, let's make no mistake. Like, Josh Allen has played some of his worst football. If there's any one opponent that he struggled against, it's been Houston, right? But that's exactly why I'm nervous because I feel like that means they're due, right? Like that means Josh Allen is due for at least a win. Like maybe not like a stat machine kind of game where it's like 6 touchdowns because it's 3 rushing and 3 passing. Nah, but if it's like 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and they squeak out a win, like I feel like that's the kind of thing that would need to go their way right now and could go their way. Especially with Houston again with this Nick Haley offense, and they're still trying to figure some things out. Questions about the running attack and Stroud and all these things, right? Receivers. Like there's a good chance that they might be slow out of the box, if you will, to start the 2026 season. So it would suck, but I could see a scenario where I just think the Bills are due. Now the Texans could prove me very wrong, which I hope they do, and dominate. Right, that would be an awesome way to start the season if they come out and let's say just blow the Bills out, or again win like by 7, something like that, by a touchdown. That'd be an awesome start to the season, right? But it's neither here nor there. I'm not. Listen, I'm not. excuse me. I'm not holding my breath either which way, but I'm prepared though. So there you go. So there's that. So let's kind of stick to the NFL. So we talked about Joe Mixon. What's going on, Mike Dugan? What's going on? We talked about Joe Mixon. Now let's talk about other news around the NFL. So it is training camp time, right? Now the rookies report for the Texans. The rookies reported 2 days ago on what, Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. So the Rutledges, Caden McDonald's, all those guys, they reported. Now there's no media out right now regarding their progress, what they've been working on. We don't know. But the vets are going to report in 5 days as well, the 28th, right? So a week from when the rookies report to when the vets get there, that's when training camp will officially start, right? Um, and along with training camp starting, I know we were excited, but you know what you have to remember, and what you have to remember is along with training camp being here, it also comes with it some unfortunate injury news, because that's what tends to happen. Unfortunately, you'll have situations where rookies, vets are hurt and seasons are ended before they even start. Who am I talking about? So next topic, we're talking about Nick Scordon here. I want to say that's how you say his name, and if that's not it, somebody help me grammatically. But the Carolina Panthers outside linebacker Nick Scordon, standout. Sources: Panthers lose Nick Scordon to torn ACL on first day of camp. This is, of course, by ESPN. So it started off today as just like a knee injury, but based off of what happened at first or how they depicted it, you knew that it was bad. Like the teammates all kind of huddled around. Like, so okay, let's just go back. So I'm just gonna read the article. So this was what I want to say. Maybe they updated this around 11:41. So Carolina Panthers let me go back. There you go. Okay, Carolina Panthers second year outside linebacker Nick Scordon suffered a torn ACL in his right knee during the team's first day of training camp Thursday. Sources told NFL Network's Ian Rappaport and Cameron Wolf. Right, and I'm going to bring up Cam Wolf in a minute or two because I actually have an ex post of his that's going to be relevant to Houston. Scordon will seek a second opinion. He went down on a wet field late in practice Thursday during team drills, and players immediately gathered around him on one knee. Not good. Scordon held his hand over his face as he was led into an awaiting cart. As he was leaving the field, the cart stopped, and Canales and every player on the roster individually walked over to hug Scordon before he was taken to the training room. So, anytime that happens, right, it's bad, right? It's like the music stops, the mood changes, atmosphere shifts, because you kind of inherently understand that, right, like a guy's career is in jeopardy, or let me not be that dramatic, but a guy's season is now over, right before it even starts, and that really sucks because again, you got these guys who are drafted in their second years or who are really hungry to build on prior successes, right? And boom, in 1 second, and it always sucks that just like in that article, it's always when practice is about to end, right? A lot of times it's not when practice first starts. It's not like midway through. It's like always like the last snap, right? When basically they're about to break, huddle, and go home for the day or go to locker room and like one more rep, one more this, one more drill. And you see it so many times before. I want to say, heck, Dez Bryant, 1 year. I think it's like what last snap of practice, and that's when he suffered a major injury. And I forgot what it was. If you're a Cowboys fan, put it in the comment section. I'll read it. But I remember like last snap of a practice, he went down. So, it just sucks, man. Excuse me. Senor Buble, what's up? What's up? So I got you. You sent me this 2 minutes ago. Texans by 14 in the season opener. Dang, that's confident. I like it though. Dang, by 14? Dang. All right. By 14. Once again, that was from my guy. Let me go back. My guy, Senor Buble, 2623. Appreciate you. Awesome. Comments. All right. But yeah, man. So back to my point about Scordon. So yeah, and according to what I've looked into with Scordon, I'm not going to act like I'm a scholar on him, but reports are he had an outstanding rookie season for the Panthers, playing in 17 games with 8 starts. So again, he was a healthy guy, right? So played all 17 in his rookie season. Finished the season with 47 tackles, 5 sacks, 9 QB hits, while developing into a key starter for the NFL's 15th ranked defense. ESPN goes on to say Let me see. Oh, talking about the event, Gordon appeared to be engaged in a block with an offensive lineman at the time of the injury. So there you go. They talk goes on. This article goes on to talk about how quickly Gordon developed into a leader on the defense. Bryce Young said this: "It's been really cool to see him come into his own. He has a super high motor, great energy. He's fun to be around. He turned into that different competitor when he's on the field. Funny enough, that reminds me of Brian Dawkins. Just I was looking at clips of him. Mild mannered dude. Then when the helmet comes on, the pads come on, he just starts hurting people. But nah, man. Shoot, I might watch a Brian Dawkins highlight video when this is over. What's up, Jay Wash? What's up, man? So yeah. Anyway, but to my point about how the Texans relate to a Nick Gordon situation. The Houston Texans. They got a very healthy season from their defense last year. GS Scrub, what's up? G Scrub. Outside of Aziz Al Shayer missing one game, and that was, I want to say, against the Raiders here. I'll pull it up right here. That's right. He played every game except for the week 16 matchup against the Raiders, I believe. No, I'm sorry, week 15. No, hold on, wait. 18, 17, 15, 15, 16. Yeah, week 16. And I just looked it up. I'm so sorry. That's terrible radio or terrible TV. I shouldn't be. Um, so yeah, so Aziz missed one game. Outside of that, nobody notable on the defense missed any time. Like Jalen Petrie played. Like I just mentioned, he's as here. He played basically all season. Will didn't miss a snap, I don't think. Daniil Hunter didn't miss a game. Derek Stingley, now he was nursing what looked like a lat or a love handle oblique injury throughout the season. You could tell he was hampered. There were moments he just looked very uncomfortable, but he made it all the way through. And so there you go. So when I see news like Knicks, it's unfortunate once again because you're going into a brand new season. If you're the Panthers, you're excited. You're coming off of a like a shock playoff trip where literally you took a step forward as a franchise and you took the Rams to the wire in a shootout. Now they dropped the wild card game, but still, like they gave the Rams everything they could handle and then some. So you're coming back excited, and you have one of your young defensive leaders who I think he's only 21 years old, 22. So he goes down, right? And the Panthers actually have multiple dudes that have gone down. I don't have their names, but multiple players that have gone down, and the season has not even gotten here. Heck, preseason is not even here yet. So for me as a Texans fan, it does kind of make you nervous a bit because, like I said, the Texans got away with one last year, like major health, like across the board. And in the NFL, when you have windows of health like that, you want to kick down that door and like you want to do something with that, right? Especially when you have the best unit on whatever side of the ball, you want to take advantage of that. And the fact that we didn't, that sucks, right? Because the moment pieces like that start to fall, it just changes the calculus on your season. So again, hoping the best for Nick. Be praying for him. Hope for speedy recovery. Hope the Panthers are able to bounce back. And if you're the Texans, I mean, just protect your guys. Wrap them in bubble wrap. Don't overtrain, right? Like, do not overtrain. Stretch. Get bendy, something like that, right? Like, just put down the weights, right? So, something like that. Um, Now, how does this relate back to the Texans besides just that point, right? So let me pull this up really quickly. Here you go. And I did say, oh, is this Jacobs? Okay, that's Jacobs. No, I don't need his. I need. Here we go. All right. So here we go. I want to say I have the right graphic up right here. We're at the 30-minute mark. So okay, like I said, we're not going to be live long. I'm gonna get in and get out. All right, here we go. So I mentioned I was going to go to Cam Wolf and what he said after Gordon's injury, right? Cam Wolf said this at the time. It was like 3 minutes ago on X, but I forget how much time it's been. Anyway, Nick Gordon is such an important piece to the Panthers D. His production motor will be hard to replace. We read that. You can see impact on his teammates' reactions. Pat Jones, Princely, and I hope I don't butcher his name, Uman Milan, top internal options to fill in, could be a team to watch for edge addition in free agency and the waiver market. So the reason why that's relevant to the Texans beyond just the injuries is because I am a guy like many who, whenever the topic of further additions to the team comes up, outside help, right? Talking about cornerback three, talking about running back three, talking about all these other threes. The one three that I'm the most bullish on is defensive end three, right? The third pass rusher to help out Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter when inevitably they're going to need a blow, when they're going to need some rest on a drive or possession or in a game, or let's say, God forbid they miss some time. You have the Carolina Panthers, who are now a team that is urgent to find help in the free agency market on defensive ends. And again, if you're the Texans trying to make a splash, what up, Jabber? If you're the Texans and you're trying to make a splash at defensive end, I mean, I've said names like Jadeveon Clowney and Von Miller, and the like. So for me, if that's assuming the Texans wanted to keep adding at defensive end instead of developing guys like Dylan Horton and others, Logan Hall, if you will, assuming the Texans were in on any of those two guys I mentioned or whomever else they might get, you now have more competition in the Panthers, who right now urgently need somebody who can probably step in and replace his production, right? So there's that. So again, domino effect around the NFL. When one team is affected, other teams get affected. Jordan Washington, what's up, bro? I didn't let you up this time, man. I'm just rolling, just gonna get through this. All right, Jay Wash, you said I hope my Houston Texans offensive coordinator. Hold on, there you go. Reading different playbooks. Dang. Do you have better offensive average 27.1 per game? So to that point about the Texans offense, I mean, look, Houston Stretchins, friend of the show, cool guy. He posted a clip from Julian Edelman's podcast. I want to say what games with names. And one of the things that were talked about, Josh McDaniels was there, and he was talking about the Earnhardt Perkins system, right? Which is don't let him lie to you. Like the Texans run probably some variation of the Earnhardt Perkins system, right? But the emphasis point was with more experience and time in that system, you should be a lot better, right? And obviously, with any new offense, with any new playbook, it's going to take you probably a season or two to get that right? To get better. Um, unless the offense is very simple to understand, like a very non QB centric offense. No, this system is very much the quarterback has to take on the mental bulk of the load at the line of scrimmage, pointing out protection schemes, and sliding offensive linemen and IDing mics and all the stuff. Like it's on the QB, right? And what's encouraging about where the Texans are, and specifically CJ Stroud, no, I don't. What's up, Zach? I don't think it's going to take 3 years, Jordan. I don't think so. Because last year, the Texans showed flashes of having a quality offense. Appreciate you, Zach. Like the Texans showed, like they showed flashes. They dropped 44 on the Ravens. Like I know the Ravens were playing historically bad defense, but they dropped 44 on the Ravens. Like a nice looking 44. They were able to move the ball. Let me see. You know what? Here, I have a whole, resource in front of me. Am I a Texans fan? Sir, I cover the team for Fansided Network. Yes. I cover the team. I watch the team. I podcast about the team. Literally, you're in a live about the Texans that I'm doing right now. So yes, I absolutely am. So let me see here. Oh no, you good. You good. I was being funny. I'm sorry. I was being funny. No, man, you came to the right place. So if you're looking for Houston Texans content, I am one of your guys. There's a bunch of us: Houston Stretchins, Aaron Wilson, of course, Landry Locker, Cody Stutes. You know, everybody really. Texans fan battle. The bullpen. Just so many. We got a lot. When you actually list them out, we have a lot. Let me see. I started a TikTok Texans group chat. Do it, man. Do it. Okay, so here, I'm sorry, I'm stalling a bit, but I'm pulling the Texans' offensive numbers from last season, right? 'Cause I want to help my guy Jordan. I also want to help others, maybe with the misconception of the Texans' offense not being like good in year one under Kaylee. So now, keep in mind, D'Amico Ryans did say that last year in preseason, right, when they were really getting this system together, that there were times when they couldn't even snap the football. So it was really like bad. It was like they were slow to the line of scrimmage, multiple either false starts or delay of game penalties. It looked bush league. It did. It looked absolutely JV. It did not look professional, and so they had their flaws to say the least, right? But even with those flaws, right? Let's just look at the scores. Okay, so they started off very slow, which is what explained the 0-3 start against the Rams. Week one, 9 points. Week two against the Bucks, 19 points. Okay, against the Jaguars, week three, 10 points. Okay, so there you go. Then after the 0-3 start is when the offense started to kind of tick up slowly a bit. Appreciate you, Jordan. That's what I'm here to do, bro. So in week 4 is when the offense finally started reaching certain benchmarks. So for example, I don't know, whoever doesn't know this, uh, oh, Zach said this. They averaged 20 points per game before CJ's concussion, and 26 after. It did get better. I'm sure it will improve with all. Right. So after the 1-3 start, excuse me, in week 4 against the Titans, they won 26-0, against the Tennessee Titans, right? Now, to be fair, the Texans did not explode offensively really until like late in that game, midway through. So they still struggled there, but they finished strong 26-0. Then they dropped 44 the next week against the Ravens, right? Bye week. And then they dropped 19 points against the what's up, Brett? H Town, man, what's going on? They dropped 19 points against the number one scoring defense in the Seattle Seahawks, which is bogus because the Texans should have been first overall. We just gave up 30 points against the Colts in Week 18 and Riley Leonard. So anyway, I can't give them that. I can't because they were not number one. Like in a real situation, no. Anyway, 19 points against the Seahawks, 26 against the Niners. Now, I believe that the Texans game against the 49ers, low key, was one of the greatest offensive games of the season because that was a time where CJ Stroud had to put up numbers and perform with Nico Collins not playing for the first time this season, I believe. And the offense looked so crisp. It looked great. Like he was distributing the ball to everybody. Matter of fact, here, let me just read the stats off, right? So here we go. So CJ Stroud in that game against the San Francisco 49ers, he went 30 for 39 for 318 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, a 106.6 passer rating. Okay. In the receiving category, CJ Stroud hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different pass catchers, right? Excuse me, 3 of which with 5 receptions each, 5 of which with 4 or more. So again, that's why I believe that was CJ's best game because he had to perform against the 49ers with no Nico Collins and he was diming all over the place, right? So that showed me like no, the offense it can work. Like it just took the right circumstance, but the problem was it happened too few times in the season. So that's why we're kind of saying that because he just needed to see some more. Moving on from there, let's not forget that CJ Stroud, I think, would have beat the Denver Broncos the very next week, except he was concussed in the top of the second, right? So you drop 15 points because Davis Mills steps in with little to no reps to prepare, and you see what happened. But we only lost by 3, right? So there's that. Jacksonville, you scored 36 against the Titans. You scored 16, right? The Bills, you scored 23 against the Colts. After that, 20. This one, CJ came back. So CJ came back after the games against the Jags, Titans, and the Bills. CJ Stroud comes back, drops 20 against the Chiefs, another 20. Cardinals 40, right? So second 40 piece of the year. Raiders was a weird game. It was a sloppy, weird game. They scored 23 points. Texans 20 points against the Chargers. However, the Chargers had a top 10 scoring defense, and that's the game where I want to say that the deep ball game was the best we've seen all season. Happened randomly in week 17 where the back-to-back deep shots of 50 plus to both Higgins and Noel, to go up 14-0 on the Chargers defense early, right? And then to close the season out, 38-30 in week 18, for whatever that's worth. Zachary contributed again. We just need to average 24 points per game with the defense only giving up 14 to 17. If I'm being honest, no, I don't want to see 24. I need to see them averaging 26 to 28 points. And I don't mean that to say like they need to do like average closer to 30 points. Like, I don't want to do the offense needs to average just enough mentality because that's kind of what has gotten you these one score wins and losses over the last 3 years with the Miko Ryans, right? Like, I want to see more 27 to 30 points, probably not 30, but like more 26 to 28 area because I believe CJ Stroud is that capable. I believe that with a better rushing attack, for example, if Joe Mixon hadn't lost his foot mysteriously, I believe that's a realistic thing. You have a 2-time Pro Bowler, Nico Collins. You have basically Nico Collins Jr. on the opposite side in Jaden Higgins. You got Jalen Noel over there that he can run. You got Tank Dell coming back. Don't know what he's going to do, but Tank Dell, right? You got Xavier Hudson. You got all this talent. I believe that they are capable. It's the mental, and that's what we've seen in offseason. Like one of the biggest things they've been talking about is the operation looks so much better. The pre-snap operation looks crisper. It's faster, right? Like that's what all the defensive players are saying. That C.J. Stroud looks more comfortable taking more ownership of the offense. Shaplinsky mentioned it. Kaylee mentioned it. D'Amico mentioned it. The pre-snap activity is better, right? And honestly, if you know football, that is a huge thing. And I agree. I think they could be a top 10 and top 12 offense, right? Depending on, again, just when live bullets start flying, they just have to stay committed to the plan, trust the offense. Um, OG says, how many teams averaged 26 to 28 points per game last year? Okay, let's do it. Let's pull that up. We're live here, so we can do what we want to do. So here we go. NFL. All right, here we go. And again, what's up, everybody who came into the TikTok? Thank you for all the likes. Appreciate you. I'm over 2K. Thanks for that at 4:15. And again, I'm not trying to hold you too long. I don't want to do that. I do agree. DQ David Montgomery will help a lot. All right, so you asked, and you're going to receive this. So you asked how many teams averaged 26 to 28 points per game last year. I got it up right here. So the Rams. So I'm going to read you a lot actually. All right, so here you go. I'm going to read in order from first to whatever number I stop at. How many teams average 26 to 28 points? The Rams at 30 points per game, right? So we just got to talking about how we don't want, we don't think the Texans can do it. The Rams just did it. Now they do have an MVP, Matt Stafford. They got Puka Nacua. They got Devontae Adams. So the class and stratosphere of their weapons are way somewhere else. We understand that, right? But again, if CJ Stroud is that guy and our offensive players around him are those men's or those guys, they're capable at least, right? But the Rams averaged 30.5 last year. The Patriots 28.8. Seahawks 28.4, won the Super Bowl, right? Buffalo Bills 28.3. So that's 4. Detroit Lions tied with them at 28.3. So that's 5 right there. We said 26 to 28, right? So yeah. Lions, yeah, so that rounds out the top 5. Jags actually averaged 27.9 points per game. Okay, so that's 6. Cowboys 27.7, that's 7. Colts at 27.4, that's 8. And then that's it right there. So 8 teams average 26 to 28 points a game. I'm reading them again from 1 to 8. Rams, Patriots, Seahawks, Bills, Lions, Jags, Cowboys, Colts, right? Those 8 teams averaged anywhere from 30 points to 27.4, right? Now, at the end of the day, the end of season results varied for those teams, right? So the Rams, they look, excuse me, they were in the running for the 1 seed. They blew it late, but they still were very much in the running, almost made it to the Super Bowl. Patriots made it to a Super Bowl. Seahawks won the Super Bowl. The Bills had Josh Allen not fumbled the game away. Let's talk about that. They probably would have at least made it to the conference championship and would have gone to the Super Bowl, I believe. But hey, neither here nor there. The Lions, we kind of saw what happened there. Let me see. Jaguars, they lost in their opening game at home in the wild card. I need y'all to see my face because I've been seeing Jaguars fans displaying a lot of small market energy today. Jaguars lost their home game, averaging 27.9 points per game. So there you go. Cowboys, they didn't even make the playoffs. So again, we're talking about these offenses that average these absurd numbers, but they did not have the level of defensive firepower that the Houston Texans have, right? So can you imagine the Houston Texans being one of these 8 teams to average at least 26 to 28 with the defense that you presumably are going to have? Just take what they did last year. Add Reed Blankenship, won a Super Bowl. Another year of Kalen Bullock, who I think could win second team All Pro at least this year. Another season of Darius Stingley now being healthy again. Kamari Lassiter kind of low key being disrespected by being called the best cornerback 2 in the NFL, right? Add that in there. You got Caden McDonald now on that defense and so on and so forth. Like, if we can reach that top 10, top 8 with that defense, it's gonna be nasty. All right, Zach said this again. Texans second best in no turnovers in the regular season. Just had a horrible playoff run. Well, yeah, and again because you have C.J. Stroud trying to do too much, okay, and no running attack to take the pressure off, right? So there you go. Who's this person here? Okay. Anyway, but we're talking a lot of Texans and football, which that's the flagship kind of here. That's the standard here. but we do talk other things, right? So once again, for those who have joined, thank you so much. Here's the title card. I'm going to read it again to y'all for those who came late to know what I'm talking about or what I have covered. So we talked about Joe Mixon's career being over, according to Aaron Wilson, KBRC2's Aaron Wilson. Um, Astros buyers sellers at the deadline, NFL training camp updates, and then also, um, again for those who don't know, I cover the Toro Times for the Fansided Network. Okay, I cover the Houston. I'm sorry, I said I cover the Toro Times. I cover the Houston Texans for the Fansided Network. Right, that means I write articles every day about the Houston Texans. Your Houston Texans, my Houston Texans, right? If you, I'm open to ideas, right? If you have an angle, a thought, a source, anything like that that you think is interesting that you would want to see in print, let me know. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, of course, X, Threads. I'm there now too. Send the idea to me. You will receive 100% credit. I don't try to be an aggregator, right? I try not to. And everything that I write, I make it apparently and abundantly clear that if it's not my original idea, I will let you know where I got it from, who said it, when, where, why, how, all that stuff, right? Because I want to show the proper respect to every content creator for the hard work that they do, for the news breakers, for the hard work, and really the integrity that they have to show to protect their sources, right? So you don't want to undercut, others of their hard work, right? So for me, that's what I do. So, like I said, in the midst of everything else, my bread and butter, I am a writer. That's what I do. So you will see my stories coming out, and if you want to see a story of yours come to life, let me know. Right, I will research, do my due diligence, and I will produce something, and I will tag you in it and let you know. Right, Matt even promoted on the podcast. Right, so there you go. Oh yeah, speaking of podcasts, yes, I have recently launched the We Want Houston podcast. Right, and also credit to my guy Froggy Fresh, man, Hayden. We just, I guess, launched the Houston Astros branch. I guess. I don't know. So there you go. All right, Jay Wash, you said this. I'm be realistic. How about CJ Stroud will be touchdown, 28 touchdowns? I think I would be slightly disappointed if CJ Stroud only hit. I'll say this: if CJ did not eclipse 30 touchdowns, I would be disappointed. Not really in him, but circumstantially in the fact that again, I think 30, I think that's the bar. That should be the floor. Like that should be the floor of what your passing offense could be. Because again, Nico Collins is built like a baby Julio Jones. Jalen Noel and Tank Dell, those are your burners. You got Jaden Higgins, who I said before is Nico Collins, version two. You have way too much talent to be barely getting by with 20 to 22 points a game. That no, absolutely not. No. Zach said this. What do you think about this angle? Janice McNair passing on the motivation of the season. I actually talked about that myself. Jonathan Alexander for the Chronicle. He came on the podcast a few days ago. Go check out his latest pieces. Beautiful, lovely stuff. Um, and DJ Bienemy, ESPN Texans reporter, DJ Bienemy, he was on the show, and great time both of those guys. So we talked about Janice McNair with both, and the fact that Janice McNair was, of course, well known throughout the NFL, well known throughout the community. She has won many community awards, many acknowledgments, and you could tell the impact that she made by just the outpouring of support throughout the NFL. From the Cowboys to the Colts to different teams and franchises, just acknowledge the Panthers too, acknowledging her impact in the community and in the NFL. So there you go. And now with Bob McNair and Janice McNair now transitioning, it is all on Cal and Hannah to steer this ship where they want it to go. So there we go. Right. So that's it, man. As far as motivation goes, I mean, it definitely adds. Yeah, go ahead, send it over. Um, Janice McNair's passing definitely is going to add that sentimental level to the season. I think the season was already going to be hype as it is because again, you're trying to get the sour taste out of your mouth of last season's debacle, right? Not only that, but you objectively want to win the Super Bowl every year, so you're already motivated. You got last year's debacle. It's the 25th anniversary. You got the rivalry uniforms dropping. You got you got the Bridgeland construction happening. So all this good stuff around the team, and then unfortunately you have Janice who passed. So now you're definitely going to see the decals. It's just going to take this season's going to take on just a more sentimental tone, now. So there's that. And so look forward to that. All right. So it's Texans football. Okay, we got to move on. All right. We'll do another one of these. We'll talk some ball. All right. So, kind of the last thing before I wrap up. Um, oh yeah, I'm in Cyprus too. I will not tell you exactly where because we have weirdos on the internet who like to stalk and they will track your VPNs, I guess. But yep, I'm in Cyprus. So listen, I guess side note, um, the people who think, oh, they're never gonna leave NRG/Reliant. I hate to break it to you. I'm gonna say this to both cameras. I hate to break it to you, but I have no reporting on this. This is just my thought. If you're the Houston Texans, right? Especially after you just did the World Cup, right? Excuse me, at NRG/Reliant, right? The one of the main complaints about going to a Texans game or any event there, the traffic sucks, the architecture is terrible. You are squished. What up, Triple Play? You are squished into this kind of box right there, right? It's hard getting in and out, right? Like, and don't leave the game late. You just might as well just stay in the car, just stay stay in the stadium. Like so you really don't think that with 80 plus acres of land now in Bridgeland, Texas, where it's probably going to be incorporated soon, they're building like a bro, they have their own HEB, right? Like they have their own community already out there. You don't think the Texans might think from a business standpoint to follow the money out there, right? And before people say, oh, what about the loyal fans? It's already working both ways. You have multiple fans of the Texans driving hours anyway to come here. All you're doing is taking operations and you're putting them over here. And now you're just reverse engineering the process to where now those who were driving in an hour, they are closer to the team. So they can buy probably more. Their family can buy more. The CEOs can buy a little bit more. And the ones who are over here, if they want to stay committed and go, just gonna go, right? So these narratives that are coming up behind, oh, the move and not the move. Listen, man, this is a part, and see, this is where we have to get out of just the. I don't want to say get out of the mom and pop shop mindedness. I don't want to say that, but we have to understand like this is a part of the natural growth of a business, right? Like the Houston Texans are a multi-billion-dollar operation, right? Multi-billions with a B, you know, and they are trying to do what's best for their long term, marketing, right? Like, imagine, let's say one day the McNairs want to sell, right? And I'm pretty sure they want to be able to sell a product that is just beautifully marketed. Like, just think about it in recent years the Titans' new stadium, the Browns' new stadium, heck, SoFi Stadium, like, everybody's getting these new stadiums. Heck, the Chiefs have moved out of Missouri and out there in Indiana now. I think, oh, no, I'm sorry. No, no, no. Well, no, the Chiefs did have that kind of thing. It was the Bears. That's what it was. So they moved out of Chicago, and into what, Indiana now. So, like all these teams are, moving around. If you're the Texans, it's okay. We're not losing the team. At least I hope not. We're not losing the team. They're moving, like Patrick Star would say from SpongeBob. They put it somewhere else. like he just pick it up and move it somewhere else, right? Like, and it's okay, right? Like you make it work. If you want to watch the Texans play, you will make it work because people are making it work now. They're going to continue to grow and make money and market themselves, right, to a larger audience. That's what you want, right? So there you go. You're not losing the team. It's still the Houston Texans. Like they still represent the H, right? That doesn't change. Okay. It's just they're doing financially what they should do, right? Plus, they're making it better for the consumer to not have to just drive into whatever the heck NRG traffic is, right? Oh, DQ said, so upset the training camp tickets are sold out. Triple Play says the Frisco Star is about an hour away from the Arlington Stadium for the Cowboys. So I'm saying, man. So, actually, DQ, I'm glad you said that. So, H Town Rundown, which is another podcast that I help co-host along with AD and Jules, we actually have training camp tickets for free, right? So get with me offline, DM me right now, right? Like talk to me, right? And I think we might be able to, depending on what date you want to go, we might have some tickets for you. So reach out, like I get in the inbox, okay? Reach out, they are for free, okay? If you want to go, all right, we got, I want to say at least 3 dates, including the joint practice date, I believe. So so just what's up, Rod? What's up, man? I see. Yep, I'm saying, man, this is what I do. All right, man. So look, let's go Astros real quick. Zach said my wife works for the Texans. She is so glad she'll have to just go from Cypress to Bridgeland. Oh yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. Like it helps people, right? Like Come on now, like dang, at some point sacrifices must be made, right? Dang, ain't got to be the same people sacrificing all the time. So I'm so happy for you. She just has to go from Cyprus to Bridgeland. Yeah, man. Listen, for those who don't know, Cyprus is low key kind of chill, bro. Like everything is kind of close enough out here. Like you got 99 over here, you got I-10 over there about 15 minutes, 290s over here. Literally everything is kind of within this kind of little bubble. So it's kind of neat actually. And with the Texans being just down the street, I'm pretty sure they're going to start building up even more. Right? So there you go. All right, kind of wrapping up. It's been 55 minutes. I don't want to make this too long, right? What's up, Rob? I don't want to make this too long. So here, we're going to do this. Let's go to kind of the last thing I was talking about. So once again, okay, this is what we're doing. Y'all, look, I'm gonna show y'all the graphic, right? So there you go. That's the graphic right there for those who could not see, right? So there you go. All right, so we're gonna finish up talking some Astros really quickly because, funny enough, that's where I got my start in this sports media game is the Houston Astros, right? So if you did not know this, I was a contributor for SB Nation's Crawfish Boxes at the time before they released the whole roster of writers for whatever reason, right? So yeah, I was a part of that kind of those sweeping changes. Appreciate you, Zach. Appreciate it. Hey, Zach, hit me up, man. DM me. Um, so yeah, man. I was a part of Crawfish Boxes before the sweeping changes. Got everybody right. But that's kind of where I got my start before Battle Red Blog came along with Patrick and those guys. And look, they welcomed me on with open arms, and so I was able to go from SB Nation's Crawfish Boxes to SB Nation's Battle Red Blog, which became Roundtable Sports with Nick Crane, and then after that, Toro Times, right, with Fansided. So it's been a blessing of a journey. But yeah, I got my start with the Houston Astros actually. So you can say I have a heart for look, I got a heart for all Houston sports, but specific to content creation and Houston Astros, like that's where I got my content start. So there you go. Frank McLean, what's up, man? So finishing up here. Much has been made about Dana Brown, the Houston Astros, Joe Espada, and should they buy, should they sell? I am going to play for you a clip that I have here of Chandler Rome, the athletic Chandler Rome, and Paul Gallant. Excuse me. Chandler and Paul Gallant, they were speaking to one another on Gallant's TikTok, Gallant, Gallant's TikTok on the Gallant Says show. And this is what Chandler Rome had to say about, his thoughts on the trade deadline and what the Astros may or may not do.
Jeremy Pena is the best trade chip. They're not trading Alvarez. They're not trading Jordan. They have told him. I have a difficult time seeing any scenario in which they trade Hunter Brown. Now, if they come out of the All-Star break and go 3-15 and are completely out of it, then maybe they have a different conversation. But Jeremy Pena is probably going to get traded this offseason, or at least he's going to be very, very much a logical trade candidate this offseason because he's in the same position Kyle Tucker was in 2 years ago, where they tried to extend him, they failed. And he's going to be entering the last year, his last offseason before free agency coming up. They traded Kyle Tucker in that situation. I can see a scenario where they trade Jeremy Pena in that conversation. You could make the argument that if you're going to trade him this offseason, why not just trade him now? Teams are probably a lot more desperate. Teams will give you a lot more back for him if they're trying to win. But this is a general manager in the last year of his contract that knows he has to make the playoffs to have a shot at getting another one. And this team ain't making the playoffs without Jeremy Pena. So I don't think that's realistic.
Okay. Right. So whether you heard that or whether you saw the video, that is where we are right now with the Houston Astros. So for those who don't know, the Houston Astros yesterday just finished off a 3-game sweep of the Miami Marlins in Houston to the tune of a 5-2 ball game. Of course, Yordan Alvarez doing more Yordan Alvarez things. Give this man a blank check. Give him the ownership stake of the Houston Astros right now. They are 50-54, right? After being swept out of the All-Star break at the hands of, oh my goodness, again, I just watched this sweep. I keep blanking. The Orioles, there we go. Right. So the Astros have been very up and down. What's up, Nadine? What's going on? So the Astros have been very up and down this season, right? If you follow my X account, which you should, at Clay_HTX Sports, same name across Instagram, YouTube, all these places, right? I'll follow back. If you've been following me at any point, I am one of those. I will raise my hand to this. I have said the Astros need to sell. I said they need to punt on this season because they need assets. Like they need farm hands. They need draft capital. They need prospects. Like that's more so of my mindset, right? And I'm not trying to say like be quitters about it, but at some point, when you had historically bad pitching through what the first few months of the season, like it was bad. When let's just do this. Let's just be factual for a second, right? The Houston Astros like have had one of the worst pitching seasons we've seen in franchise history, in recent baseball history. Between injuries and between poor performance, like Hunter Brown was hurt, Peter Lambert's your ace, okay. Spencer Arrighetti is running out of gas. You let Farmer walk, right? He's in Detroit right now. Hey, Detroit, what's up? Detroit fans, check in. Hope you're okay. We try to warn you. Okay. So uh, you option Mike Burrows, IL'd, right? But really, you option Mike Burrows. You cut JP France. You cut Ryan Weiss. You cut, I want to say, no, you traded who? Murray, I want to say. You traded him, I believe, or you cut him. Um, no, you've had to make guys like Highway Tang, a starter to a reliever, right? Like you've had to do things like that in this patchwork season. Jordan Alvarez has been a lot of times your only source of credible and consistent offense. It's not good. Jeremy Pena has been in and out of the lineup due to injuries, right? After that, I mean, Jose Altuve, Christian Walker, Yana Diaz, so many guys have disappointed in so many ways. And, the Astros, they've set records on like what I forgot what was the stat, but like this is the latest into the season that they've been like what under a certain amount of games under 500. I hate that I don't have that stat, but no, Dusty Baker didn't necessarily leave. He was kind of indirectly pushed out, so he left. But like, nah, if you knew the story, Dusty Baker did not necessarily leave. He was kind of somewhat pressured to leave in a sense like that. But no, man. So for me, all things considered, I just think the Astros need to sell because again, if you have guys who you're thinking about not paying, for example, Hunter Brown, for example, Jeremy Pena, why do the same thing again where you're going to allow superstar caliber players or at least upper tier caliber players to leave your organization? No, it was not health reasons. Like, why would you allow them to leave without getting anything in return? Now, you did differently with Kyle Tucker, and I'm glad that they did because you got Wisniewski pitching, probably going to come back soon. You got Cam Smith, who looks like he needs some development, and you got Isa Paredes in that deal, right? So for the most part, and Kyle Tucker is struggling this season, so there's that. So in the short term, you won that trade in a sense. Like you have multiple assets to play with, develop, or trade if you want to, excuse me, for one Kyle Tucker who's struggling in LA right now. Like, okay, cool. Because you broke the routine of letting high caliber players leave without getting anything in return, which I think they should have done with multiple guys, with Bregman, heck, Correa the first time if he was going to leave you, right? You could argue that George Springer, even though that hurts me to this day to not have George back, still same thing. You traded Kyle, and I'm looking at Jeremy Pena, I'm looking at Hunter Brown, and I'm saying like you could get a haul back for those guys combined. Why not, right? But if you look at the statement from Jim Crane that we always use, the window is always open when I'm here. And then on top of that, look at what Chandler Rome just said to Paul Gallant, which is you have a general manager in Dana Brown who seemingly is going to prioritize his job security over doing probably what's best for the long term health of the organization, which I don't agree with, right? That's why I said sell, right? Why is it that we have gotten to this point where we are so okay with this idea of GMs mortgaging the futures of their employers and of the organization that they're supposed to serve in the name of their job? Like, why do we say that like it's just okay? Like, well, he's trying to save his job. So, no, his job as a general manager is not to mortgage the future to save his job. Look up the definition of general manager. You will never see that. The definition of a general manager is a person who's a steward, who are supposed to be faithful over the resources of their employer, that being the owner or the VP, whoever's over them, in order to serve the immediate and long term interests of of course, the fan base, but of the organization, right? At no point does that job description change into do what I want to save my job and my job alone. That is hogwash. That is foolishness. I will not. I will not agree with that ever. I will never agree with somebody mortgaging the future, of their franchise to save just their job. No. And let me see. Jordan. Okay, no, wasn't health reasons. It was who asked me that question. Jordan, you asked me, do you think the Astros need to start over? Uh, I don't think they need to start over, but if they keep playing like they're buyers, they will force a hard reset. They will force that conversation because right now they're still good enough to where if you just smartly, shrewdly traded certain pieces here and there, you could reload, kind of keep your floor of where you're performing at and build off of that. You could do that. For example, if you traded Christian Walker, which I think that's most more likely going to happen, you can get some process prospects back for him. If you traded Jeremy Pena, right, like you can get a ton back, right? Financial flexibility, some prospects back, and maybe a guy or two who can play right now. That's why you develop, right? You trade Hunter Brown. Now your pitching is going to suffer, right? But it's not like he's like prime Roger Clemens, right? So anyway, short answer, I don't think they need to start over. But if they keep playing like they don't have the self awareness to know that they're not World Series contenders right now, they're going to force that conversation. So I'm saying they need to sell in order to prevent them from spiraling even further down this hole of mediocrity to try to save the job of two guys in Espada and Dana Brown, who honestly are already out of a job anyway. If according to different kind of murmurings that you listen to, like Ben on the Top, he kind of said it, and others who kind of have been in with the Astros, those two are as good as gone. So that's another reason why, like, if the reports are to be believed, if the word on the street is those two, Dana Brown and Joe Espada, the head, the skipper and the general manager, if they're as good as gone anyway, why do we want them to buy anything? They won't be here. It's not going to say so. Basically, nothing they do is going to save their job. Then what are we doing, right? Like, so anything short of a World Series, you're jobless, right? Which I don't think that they are anywhere close to World Series. I think you have I can't even say a World Series caliber offense because if I ever say that, I'm talking about two people, Jordan and Jeremy Pena, who are the only two guys hitting 290 and above for that team right now. Only ones. Outside of that, most of your batting order is hitting between 210 and 250. Can't win that way. I don't care what the league average is. Your batting order has been abysmal outside of Jordan, Pena, and like Isaac. No disrespect to him, but everybody else has been like just hit and miss. No pun intended. So between porous pitching, between historic levels of injuries, between all of your marquee free agent additions either being busts or just being meh, right? Between your hitting lineup not really pulling their weight, between Jose Altuve looking every bit of a mid to late 30-year-old, right? It just feels like, what are we doing, right? You're gonna have your spurts of 2 or 3 games where they look phenomenal, right? And low key, that's only because they hit the long ball well, right? If you take away the power hitting, the Astros arguably one of the worst offenses in baseball. If you don't believe me, look up how their splits change when you take out power hitting, right? Look at extra base hits, right? Look at the last 30 days and come back to me. Check all the hitting splits within the last 30 days. Click that button on MLB.com when you're looking at stats. Click it, last 30 days. It will filter out and what you need to see. Hitting with runners in scoring position, mid to below average. Power numbers are great, right? I think top 3, top 5 in home runs, right? So power hitting is not the problem. It is the small ball. It is hitting with runners on. It is batting averages being poor, like I mentioned. It's a bunch of things that show you when they're not hitting long balls, they are nowhere close to where they need to be on this offense. And really, to close out this live stream, thank you for all who came anyway. I know I've kept you longer than I really wanted to, right? So I'm going to work on that. Like, cut this down to about 15, 20 minutes. If it wasn't for Jordan Alvarez's triple crown? Yeah. If it wasn't for Jordan's triple crown chase, would you really be watching? And I'm not saying that, like, don't be an Astros fan, but I'm really saying, let me change that. Not watching, right? Because you watch probably anyway, like in the background at least. Would you really be confident at all with this team? At all? If Jordan Alvarez was not pursuing the triple crown? No. No, you would not be, right? Uh, anyway, with that said, though, again, I'm Clayton Anderson, who covers the Houston Texans for Toro Times of the Fanside Network. This live has been long enough. I have 3 kids and a beautiful, lovely wife that I need to get to, who has supported this foolishness of mine Hey, credit to whomever has come through, has stopped by. Thank you guys so much for coming. Appreciate you, Jordan. Says happy we joined you, listen to your information. Hey man, listen, that's what I'm here to do, right? Whatever I find out, I give it to you guys. Again, if you have any stories that you come across or just ideas that you want me to kick around and put on the page for you, send it to me. Email it to me, 713sportstalk at gmail.com. You find that all over. I am at Clay underscore HTX Sports all over the place. And good news, the We Won Houston podcast actually just launched its own X account. So that's pretty neat. It's teeny tiny right now, but I mean, it's there if you want to use it. It is at We Want HOU underscore pod, right? So there you go. Again, thanks for tuning in. We covered a lot of stuff from the Texans to the Carolina Panthers to training camp to Astros to trade deadline and everything in between. I've lost track of what I've been talking about, but truly thankful for you guys. Be on the lookout for the short version. Clips are going to be coming out pretty soon, and all the good stuff. But yeah, man, stay tuned for the next one, and we'll talk soon. Go Texans, go Houston sports. Oh, okay, well, hold on. Jordan says one more thing for you to go. You want CJ Stroud will bounce with 31 touchdowns this season? Let me decipher that. Yes, I've said it before, Jordan. I believe CJ Stroud is going to have a career season in one way or another. I believe CJ Stroud should hit 30 touchdowns fairly easily. I want to say I'll call my shot on that. I think 30 touchdowns for CJ Stroud should be the floor in this offense, especially with the help of David Montgomery, a more seasoned Woody Marks. I think that the offense is better equipped to support offensive explosions, or at least offensive competence, now more than ever before. Again, this is now his second season in the whatever system, either EMP Rams that Kaylee runs. And again, the pre-op sounds good. The at the line information sounds good. Speed looks good. Now it's just putting it on full display when it really matters. So there you go. Anyway, y'all, hey, that's it. Peace out. May the love of Christ be with you. Love your neighbors. Take care of yourself. Please be safe while you're driving. Put the phones down while you're driving. Hug your family. Tell them you love them. And we'll talk soon.